and Expressive Iteration and Villain's Lair, those ensure that we get a good card draw. Hello everyone, it's Sloth here, and today we are Arcane Bombarding our enemies, and you will see it in action. So if you want some trigger from Arcane Bombardment, you will see them. And with that being said, we are of course Grixis Arcane Bombardment, because I think this is a very strong version. We not only have access to Invoke Despair, which is amazing, we also get Maestros Charm, which is also great at finding the missing piece that we lack at the given moment, but Meathook Massacre. Oh boy, this card isn't it like $60 or $70 right now, the paper version? It is for a reason. The card is busted extremely, and we need to play it, and it will win us so many games. And just a few words for the fans. Oh boy, this day has been really rough. I'm not feeling great, but that's not the case. I actually noticed that after recording many games, I have never turned the mic on. I actually had to do the voiceover. There will be some games with the commentary, and some of them I felt that were really cool, especially one that I think we really showcased how to play with this deck and how we can navigate the game into our advantage, and I really wanted to keep them, so it will be a voiceover most likely. And yeah, that's all of this on top of playing BOROS over and over and over. I don't know what's going on today, but today I'm playing like 80% of the BOROS matchup, and every game is nearly the same. And that's why I really appreciate the Meathook Massacre. And let me tell you, we went like 50% win rate in quite a lot of games, and I think that being on the worst matchup, because this deck doesn't want to hit BOROS as much. Like, we have a lot of tools, I guess, but we are more of a, slower deck that wants to stabilize and just get the value from Arcane Bombardment. Like, the fact that we went 50% win rate against BOROS, tier 1 most aggro deck ever, I think that means that the deck is really solid. So, with that being said, let's talk about the deck. That's why you are here, aren't you? So, of course, we have 3 Arcane Bombardment. We don't play 4 because they're a bit clunky, and you generally don't want to have them early game. You just want to hit them after cycling with Big Score, Maestros Charm, Prismari, and as you can see, we have a lot of cards that are versatile. Yeah, we actually have a lot of cards that are versatile, like half of them. And for Maestros Charm, everything is good. And also this counts as an Arcane Bombardment in a way, because tutoring 5 cards means that you will hit something or you will hit another card draw that will get you the Arcane Bombardment. However, like with all of those cards, you can either counter the spell, but let's say you copy it with Arcane Bombardment. You don't have things to counter because you cannot base your winning on let's find the villain's lair, right? So that's why we run it, and you have the second mode with drawing 2 cards and discarding 2 cards, which means that you will get another instant. So this way you don't run out of fuel for the Arcane Bombardment, and that's why we have it. And one counter spell is okay, like it's fine. Sometimes it can catch people off guard completely, and it makes them think about their place, and 3 mana is acceptable in this deck. Another one, Prismari Command. We even use different modes today. Destroy target artifact is a thing, and very versatile card. Of course, this is something you love to copy because it's basically free value every turn, and the treasure that we get from this, the ramp, is actually so important. Don't underestimate it. We have so many crucial 5 and 6 drops in the game. Getting them 1 turn earlier might be the difference between winning and losing the game. And this against something like Talia on turn 4, okay, then we don't ramp, but you get the idea. When we kill something and also ramp ourselves is just so amazing. And it's instant, so we can mess enemy quite hard if he tries to buff something, put the counters, things like this. And going further, we have some early game. I went with March because I think it gives you some durability against BOROS that we lack. It's not great with Arcane Bombardment, but I think as long as it's an instant for 1 mana, it's good enough. Because sometimes you don't really care about the card you are casting, as play with fire shows, it's just no value. You just care about playing an instant on the enemy turn, and you like combining sorcery, because sorcery you can cast on your turn to trigger the bombardment, and then you cast instants on his turn to trigger bombardment. Especially that a lot of our cards get better value when they are cast as interruption while enemy tries to attack. Like, you can just answer some kind of counters with just 1 mana play. And even if it doesn't kill the creature, you have such a high chance that you will hit some removal from the Arcane Bombardment that you probably can kill it anyway. And with that being said, we also have one Cinderclasm. I think it's pretty good addition. Crush the Weak would also be a decent card here, maybe even a bit better, but the problem is it's not instant. And I wanted instant so we can trigger Arcane Bombardment on the enemy turn, especially that this deals 2 damage, so it pairs really well if enemy has like full small board with Adeline. You just deal 2 damage to everything, and then the Arcane Bombardment hopefully hits something that deals 2 damage, and we have plenty of those cards. So yeah, that's the idea behind the thing. And of course, Big Score is the big glue. Like, you need this card. This is such a crucial card for the deck. It ramps you, it fixes your mana. Like, we play Invoke Despair, but we are not skewed towards black mana as much as usually, because we have treasures to fix it. And you will usually... Like, it's funny because casting Invoke Despair in this deck doesn't feel super hard. Usually you can do it on, maybe not on curve, because you usually play different stuff, but when you want it, you usually have the mana. You have usually like 2 treasures to fix 2 black mana, and you have 2 black mana on your mana base. So that's not a big deal. And when you cast it once and it's in the graveyard and it can go with Arcane Bombardment, that's basically all you need. You just then trigger it from the graveyard over and over. And we have a lot of sweepers. Like, given the meta is so oppressive, we just run 7 sweepers. Because why wouldn't we? 4 Burn Down the House, 3 Meathook Massacres, and Burn Down the House is the only sweeper that works perfectly with the bombardment. As you know, because you can not only sweep the board, when we are ahead and we just want to get more ahead, we will create the devils. So if you hit this from the graveyard, it's actually an amazing card, because you get 3 creatures for free, and they deal damage, they have haste, it's insane. So very good sweeper, definitely the best one. Meathook Massacre is in this regard worse than Burn Down the House, but the life gain that you get and the enchantment that all of the other, so basically Strangle means gain 1 life, play with fire, gain 1 life. Everything has gain 1 life. That's such a big deal, because you very often will be at like 3-5 HP, and having Meathook and not having Meathook means that you are dead or alive. So basically, I think you need to run both. Burn Down the House might not be strong enough to carry the games, while Meathook is, but you still need more sweepers, because usually with this deck, you just try to survive until the 5 mana, and dig into your sweepers. That's the game plan. And basically against BOROS, that's how you play. And then the finisher is just, you know, what you have. Alright, so with that being said, we don't run a lot of pathways, so sometimes our turn 2 play is not great, but that's why we have 1 mana plays, and we also run Expressive Iteration, because it's basically a 3-drop. And Meathook Massacre is not a 2-drop as well, so we basically don't really run 2-drops too much, just for this reason as well. So after the rough start, usually you get going like crazy. Okay, I think that covers the deck. Thank you for listening. I might be a bit grumpy today, but oh boy, it was a rough one, and the voiceover thing, it triggers me. Tell me guys if you like this, if you prefer the voiceover or the normal, or you want to mix them from time to time. Just for me to know, personally, I always prefer non-voiceovers. I feel they're more authentic, and that's why I go like this. I was even thinking about re-recording games, but honestly, that means you will never see those games, and I think some of them at least were really epic, especially one of them I really wanted to show you. So, with that being said, as always, if you like the channel and things like this, subscribe. We will be doing Magic for a lot of time, so definitely your source for Magic entertainment if you find it entertaining. And with that being said, let's go into the games, and I truly hope, despite all the troubles today, you will enjoy the deck and the games. Okay, so what is this hand? We are going second You know, with Cinderclasm and Play with Fire, I will take it. It's not perfect, but I guess it's decent early game. And given we have so many 1 mana plays, I will actually take the red here, just to have Play with Fire enabled. This will be slow, but we already play 1-drops anyway. Yeah, and this was the reason why. Otherwise you get so behind so quickly. Alright, so we need to disable the initiate, which will be super hard, because next turn he will have Cavalier, because why wouldn't you have 1, 2, 3 in every single draw you play with the deck? It's so funny, because when I was playing BOROS, I so rarely got like 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1 damage is something we take. Maybe he misses the 2-drop at least. That would help quite a lot. Okay, so we are taking it. Okay, we are getting into like playable territory. We don't have black cards to exile with Marsh. Hopefully he plays something with 2 toughness and then we just Cinderclasm it. Adeline. Ooh, that's a strong one. That's a strong one. We have some time. So he's playing BOROS, but the bad version. Okay, so do we kill it? Like, we get a lot of extra time if we kill something with Play with Fire right now. On the value we are winning, so I think we can sacrifice a bit of value. Because it basically prevents 2 damage this turn and like 3 damage next turn, something like this, so that's quite a lot. Adeline on its own is not as scary. And I want to cast it... Oh boy. Okay, this changed my plan. I wanted to cast Iteration, but with big score, you want to cast big score, definitely. Sure, as long as he invests cards into burning us, it's actually not bad for us. Like, he traded 1 card for 2 damage and we are at 18. Like, we can take 8 cards like this. Sure? Okay, so... Okay, that's worse, because this is some value. This is some value. Do we take this hit? This will be what, 7, right? 7 damage, that's quite a lot. Maybe we just kill the Adeline? No, like burn with down the house feels just so much better. Being at 7? Oh, such a hard choice, honestly. I think we take it. I think this is the best turn we have for big score. It won't get better than this. And hopefully we can hit the Meathook Massacre. This way we can not only sweep but also heal. I guess never lucky. Thank you! Oh my god, we were. We just needed to draw 1/4 of the deck and the luck is here. Alright, so now it's actually perfect. And I think this is what made us win. Like, digging into Meathook Massacre was the play. Yeah, now we are at 10, and now we have another sweeper. He has only 2 cards, so whatever he plays, it's not good enough. Yeah, and definitely not 1 alone initiate. Do we have time to do it? Oh boy, I know you guys want it. Okay, let's go for the bombardment. We have to do it, don't we? And enemy doesn't know how behind he is, so let's see this Raiju with 6 damage to the face. Huh? Okay, this is not the best BOROS player. He doesn't top deck as good as the other ones. He needs to top deck a bit more if he wants to go to Mythic. So, yeah. Let's start with the big score maybe. I think that's a good draw. Yeah, he cannot take the Arcane Bombardment. Yeah, definitely not the best draws from BOROS, so that's good for us. Okay, so here the hand is actually really good. This was the first hand that I have seen that was decent all around. We have 3 lands, we have some interruption, some sweeper, and Prismari is like the glue that holds everything together. Enemy is playing Pack Leader, and at this point I was going for check for traps because that's the perfect play. And I had big issue whether to go for the troll or the inscription. Inscription is something he can play the next turn. I'm throwing Invoke the Ancients because that's some late game that we answer with Burn Down the House, so we don't care. Inscription seems like a better idea because this is his next turn play and we don't have any way to remove a 3 toughness creature outside of sweeping. So it had to be some kind of problem. However, I decided that troll is just a bigger issue because it's such a big drop and at some point it will be annoying. And I thought that we have enough time. I remember I said, like, we can take it, the famous last words. So, yeah, definitely a risky play from my side. And honestly, it might have been the mistake, but I think it was a good play in the end. Because like we are like pressured by a single 4 attack creature. That's not a lot. Like we have a lot of time. Like we are at 11 at 4 mana basically. So what do we have here? Like Prismari is okay. I actually messed up completely because I played the wrong mana base and I wanted to cast Prismari last turn, I just missed it completely. And to be fair, I actually was lucky enough that it was into my advantage because I would cast Prismari turn before the Chariot. So yeah, definitely a bit more luck than skill this time. And we want to answer the Chariot. This, like, we are definitely casting Prismari. What I don't know is whether I cycle cards or to get the treasure. Because we need to hit the 5 mana, that's completely a given. And the idea is that we cannot sweep the Ascendant Pack Leader and the Invoke the Ancients. We can sweep only one of them. We need to bait enemy into having both of them at the same moment in the board. And how I decided to do it is just to use the cycling ability and the Meathook Massacre. So we get the cycling because I want to hit my cards, and honestly, Arcane Bombardment, I'm not sure if I discard the Arcane Bombardment. I think I would go for Arcane Bombardment and Cinderclasm, depending on... Okay, I drew some stuff. Because Arcane Bombardment is not good in this situation. Both are interesting, but I think Meathook scales better with amount of mana, so Cinderclasm was better early game. Late game, of course, Meathook Massacre is a beast. And the plan is that we will Meathook Massacre his small chariot minions. This means he needs to play something next turn, and I actually hoped, fingers crossed, that he will play Invoke the Ancients as the biggest play. And that was basically how I want to win, because like I cannot sweep the pack leader with Meathook, I don't have enough mana, especially after, you know, not getting the treasure. And he did it. He actually did it. He made a full board of 5 toughness creatures. He didn't need to. Like, look at this. Pack leader kills us next turn anyway. And he actually went into the trap. That was the big bait that I have been doing for the full game. And the fact that he went for it, first of all, that was a mistake. I think high mythic player wouldn't do this play. He didn't need to, and he knew that I cannot remove the creature, especially that we are Grixis, so very often we are damage based. Like, I guess Maestros Charm would solve it, so in a way it would work, but I still think that was a bad play by him. Extremely greedy, and he got punished with the only card that does it. So right now we are in the cleaning duty. We are going for 2 damage here on the thingy. I didn't want to go to 3. It's scary territory. They have 4/4 with haste, so you don't want to be at 4 HP or lower. And yeah, March is amazing. This draw actually makes sure that we stabilize. And like, I know at this point I was like, if we keep drawing cards and trading 1 for 1, he has no chance of winning this. Like, our cards are simply better than his, especially like in top deck mode. So even if he top decks perfectly, like, what we have in the hand answers everything. We can remove something, we can counter something, we can remove and heal something. Like, whatever happens, it's good for us. So at this... oh boy, oh, it's so sad. Like, you can feel the pain. A small 2/1 creature coming into the board. So March is interesting, but I wanted like better answers. I wanted some high impact card. And Invoke Despair, you might correct me, but I would say that's a very big impact spell overall. And that's why we didn't go for the March. I don't feel super scared. Meathook Massacre gives you this nice buffer of, you know, having additional life. Like, imagine if we didn't have Meathook. I think we healed like 4 HP with this. So we would be at 3, and 4 Haster would mean that we lose the game. With Meathook, no, it doesn't. It means that he needs 2 on the from the top, and then we can still march one of them and get back into the winning. So the game went really nicely. Enemy completely fell into our trap. This burn down the house for 5 damage was the big play for this game. Yeah, I really like this one. Okay, so enemy goes first, as usually, no complaining here, but we have pretty decent hand, like Arcane Bombardment and opening, oh my god, it's of course Kuman on turn 1. Oh, yeah, that's fine. So we have a lot of answers. Being on the draw is extremely bad with Meathook Massacre, because we are always 1 toughness behind, and as always, 1 mana play. I guess at least it's Initiate and not the Aspirant, so it's not the worst, but he didn't lose the counter. Strangle is perfect answer. This is one of the situations when Strangle is just so much better than play with fire. Like, imagine we had play with fire. That would plain suck. We would have to kill Kumano instead of Initiate, and then we are bothering with the guy for the rest of the game. Brutal Qatar. Okay, so generally really asks for display of Meathook Massacres, because they are both 2 toughness creature. The problem here is actually that if we don't play anything main phase, he gets a 3 toughness creature for free. And that's not something we want. This means that Meathook Massacre will be pretty horrible next turn, because it answers 1 drop for 1 mana, and we still get hit for 3 a turn with Brutal Qatar, with Ward, so that's pretty awful. And in the end I decided that I'm actually, because we can kill Qatar with the Maestros Charm, but the problem is our hand. Look at this, it's 3 lands. Arcane Bombardment doesn't really do anything in this situation unless we are very late into the game, and we still need some instants, and when we use Maestros Charm we don't have instants to activate it. So I think the best... Do I kill? I don't think I kill. I think I went for the tutor in the end, because I think the tutor is the best case, because we are short on value. Like, we are simply short on value in this hand. March? Maybe not the best. I would probably want something different, but March is a very solid choice. It's definitely a card that is never dead in this matchup, and it's always a key card. Okay, so enemy went smart, and he actually wasted his turn just to switch this nighttime. That's how valuable it was. Imagine if we triggered it on mistake, if it was so important that an enemy just invested full turn into doing it. And he knows that he wants to maximize the value from his creatures, and this makes it awkward. I think he knows he will have the Meathook. He plays around it perfectly. And that's an issue. That's actually an issue. Play with fire, not the worst. Like, I do not mind him burning cards. I will heal at some point with Meathook Massacre and Marches, so it's okay. But yeah, like, definitely a problem. Like, we want to kill the Brutal Qatar, or just Meathook Massacre. And now he played the Aspirant, and that was the question. Where goes the counter? I hoped he will put it on Aspirant, which would be a mistake. He unfortunately, like, this was a good player, not gonna lie, he made very good calls. And I think he knew about Meathook Massacre because he played deliberately around it. Like, every play he was doing was exactly countering the Meathook Massacre. And for this reason, he forced us to directly kill the creature. Like, that didn't feel good. Like, we lost all the HP that we gained from the march just to kill this creature. And that's honestly a very good draw. And Meathook Massacre is a thing. And here I did a mistake. I realized after doing the play, like, sometimes, you know, you play the highlighted cards and you think, oh, that wasn't the smart. yeah, Sloth, you should have played the Hive. Because as you can see, this one untapped Shipwreck Marsh, or whatever it's called, Marsh, like sticks like a sore thumb right now. And you could have the Hive, and having the untapped land instead of tapped land is a big deal, especially at this stage of the game. And he's going strong with the Brutal Catars. Okay, so what do we do now? I think I decided, like... No. So it's 3 damage. The best draw he has is Raiju. So he needs a land into Raiju. He might have land in the hand or Raiju in the hand, and the second part from the top. So generally, burning down the house would be the best idea, because and I guess I decided to go for it because like he has 3 cards right now in the hand, and we also do, but we have iteration which equals to way more cards. Okay, and I think this is the point when I decided that Arcane Bombardment is good enough. Like last turn he had a bit too many cards. Usually when he has one last card, it's not, you know, as threatening. And we can play iteration. Activating Hive wouldn't be the great idea. So right now the best draw is Raiju, right? He gets Raiju, he attacks for 8, and of course he has it from the top. I really think he top decked it, because he would play it before if he could. Oh boy, that's so annoying, and we are back to 2. This is a very good top deck though. That is actually one of the perfect ones, and this is one of the games that showcase you how much better Meathook Massacre is than the other sweeper. Imagine if we didn't have a Meathook Massacre. Okay, and we are in Expressive Iteration. So right now we have Invoke Despair as a good value in the hand, but that's not something we can play. So I think it should be a land, just because we can play the land. We have no creatures in the board, so no sense to play Strangle, and it gets exalted then step, so at least we can get extra land, right? It will be handy with Expressive Iteration. And casting, I'm going for the idea that as long as I can trade card for card without losing too much HP, we will win this game, because our cards are better. And with Meathook Massacre we can translate removal into live game. Okay, that was so good that he got the plane, finally. And this is the first turn when we are actually stabilized fully. Okay, so now probably it should be... Yeah, I wasn't sure, because big score is so tempting to draw some cards, but this is a sorcery. This is a sorcerer, and that's a big deal. And it draws you 3 cards, so there's high chance to get something good. And the auto tapper, yeah, okay, we didn't have enough black mana to cast something outside, so I guess the auto tapper was okay. And Expressive Iteration and Villain's Lair, those ensure that we get a good card draw. And oh boy, the draw was pretty brutal from the top. 2 turns of doing nothing. Check for traps is tempting, but if he didn't play the card, it means it wasn't great anyway, and we are basically killing ourselves. So, other options are just simply better. So that's why I don't even get it for free. Even outside the fact that I didn't have the black mana, but even if I had, I wouldn't take it. And that's a lot of cards. And Maestros Charm. This is what really made the difference right now. So, unfortunately I cannot cast it right now, because I lack the correct mana, because Invoke Despair is an expensive card, you know, so for this reason. But the fact that we can start gaining Hive with Maestros Charm, look at our value. We never run out of value at this point, we can do it forever, basically. So only thing we need to care about is not freaking dying, because we are at 4, and there's a lot of cards that kill us. Even Lone Raiju is actually 4 damage with haste, and we die, so we need to be prepared. And now we can start cycling, having some fun with Arcane Bombardment, and now it is the fun part, so of course enemy just cannot handle someone else having some fun. You know, they are playing BOROS, so there's some set of assumptions that needs to be made. Alright, I really enjoyed this one. This one was hard to navigate. Alright, so enemy goes... Oh boy, that's not a great hand. So this would be great on play. On the draw it's pretty abysmal, but given that we have spot removal in the form of Maestros Charm and double Meathook that generally win you the game against any aggro unless you get overrun very quickly, That's why I kept it, but it's definitely not a great hand. It's extremely slow, especially on the draw. Like on the play, I think that hand would be good. Like it would be at least acceptable. But on the draw it's super risky and you generally hope that the enemy doesn't have the perfect draw, which so far he seems to nearly have. It's not yet the perfect BOROS draw, but it's really close to it. Aspirant is such a pain, like it's so much damage so quickly. Like 4 damage next turn initiate, and what is the other card? Okay, only initiate, okay, so that's something. So this opens the Maestros Charm play. Yeah, the problem is Cavalier or Raiju. Both of them can train the initiate, and generally like preventing initiate from training is the big point of playing against BOROS. I do not mind like trading cards for 2 damage. Even with the Scry of course helps more than damage, but yeah, like, okay. Let's just see his draw, and I don't want to do anything. I put a stop on the combat phase, so Aspirant won't trigger. You need, I think you actually need to do it. Otherwise, Aspirant just gives you the counter, even if someone answers during the combat phase. Oh boy, of course he has another one. Not great, not great. But probably, yeah, something we can handle, I guess. So 5 damage to the biggest aspirant. This way he loses the counter, and we do it before the combat phase, so he at least doesn't get this one counter. And he would not put more of those on the aspirant. That was 4-4, so we don't really lose anything. This is not great. So we have 2 options. You can do the small Meathook and kill the aspirant and nothing else. Problem is that you are open, you don't have ramp, you don't cycle cards, you don't go for big score basically. If you go for the big score, you can get Raijut, and right now I'm doing like my super hard math, like I'm actually in a boring math mode, and I'm counting if Raiju means that I'm dead. And I believe that the result is that it is dead. So it's 3 damage, right? 2 counters from the creatures, so it's 3-3, 3-3, aspirant range, so it's 9 damage, and 2 goes from the burn ability of Raiju. It's actually 11 damage. He directly kills us if he draws Raiju from the top. That's insane. And later I also realized that he has the Den, which is even worse. Like, even if we have Field of Ruin, it's not great because you need to have spare 3 mana basically. And we do not have 3 mana because we basically can keep up with the game, not even like putting an extra effort in it. And that's why I went for Meathook. It prevents the most damage and gives us a little bit more time. And generally you really want to have Meathook in the board, because then, see, all freaking ways, we would just die directly if we didn't play the Meathook right there. It's just so lame. I cannot believe it. Oh my god. And this is the problem with going on the... Like, you remember how I ranted that I'm on the draw and this hand is just worse? Now you can see why. If we were on the play, we would win this game with Meathook Massacre right now. We would just sweep oh my god, I stick the cables because I'm so irritating even talking about it. So yeah, we are basically like 1 mana behind of winning the game. We have 3 mana, we should have 4, and enemy has 4 toughness creatures and we can deal 3. And what you see, the big score, is not the play, it's just me being annoyed because we cannot win normally, so we need to draw into something. Like, maybe there's a world where we draw some double removal for 1 mana, something like this. But the problem is this game was lost because we weren't going first. That's the reason. So, a bit annoying one, but you know, I kinda like it still. I think we really played this one to maximum value and it just wasn't enough.